Rubber burning engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafting on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fight. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's delight. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take.
Woo! Oh! Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as these drivers get ready to rumble here for our fourth playoff race of the season. As these drivers are all looking to try to put themselves up and into the winner's circle. For some, they're looking just to have a good, solid run, trying to keep their championship dreams alive here this evening at the beautiful Texas Motor Speedway. It is the Lone Star State. It is the place that everything is bigger here in Texas, as these drivers are looking for a big, big win. For some drivers, they're looking for either trying to extend their points lead, trying to draw in a little closer to our champion as of right now, because right now it is Al Likens who has the points lead. He's got about 11 points above Dalton Wicker. Wicker back in second. Gage Wenzel only a few points back behind Dalton Wicker in those point standings. And then we look at Adam Boughton, Kent Mueller, our top five for the point standings. Jonathan Cogswell, Anthony Ludi, Dylan Picklesheimer up into 8th now, with Chase Abel, Max Cost, to Corey Denk, and Jack Simpson rounding out our 12 championship drivers here this evening, as each and every one of them going to be looking for a big, big run here this evening. We saw the teamwork come into play last week and getting a 1-2-3 finish for the slightly dangerous crew is my boy Justin Toll. What's good, Justin? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful night, man. I'm always doing good, brother. I'm always doing good. My nights are always good, especially when I'm here in the booth, able to watch these guys duke it out there on the speedway. And he says, I'm picking the winner. He says the 22 car, if there is one. Unfortunately, there is not a 22 car out here for the Hypershift Racing League. We do have the 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson, the 2 ride of James Hudson, but no 22s out there on the speedway here this evening. Is Evan Monaghan coming out with the like on the stream. 213 Simware with the like and the share. Hypershift Racing League with the thumbs up and the share as well. 24 I don't think there's a 24 either. There is a 48 for J.J. Moore. We also have the number 34 of Drew King. You can take a look here. I should see the number scrolling up there on the top. You should get a good look there at all the numbers that are in the field here this evening as our starting lineup gets ready to rock and roll, gets ready to duke it out here this evening, as each and every one of them will be hoping to try to find victory lane. As FP says, let's go slightly dangerous racing. As Kels says, Tiny Toes, put the pedal to the metal. She says, put the pedal to the metal. As Tay coming in, show the love. What's good, Tay? And it says, I'm watching from my co-worker. I think he is the 11 ride. Yeah, that is going to be the 11 machine of Chris Zofeld. Zofeld, I do believe, is here tonight. Yes, he is. Here he is in that beautiful Tide ride, getting ready to rumble, getting ready to roll out onto the racetrack. There is the Tide machine. Unfortunately, we'll start back at about the 14th position, as starting on the pole in the number 63, it is Max Koss. Koss will start in the top spot here this evening. To his outside the 45 ride, that is Dylan Picklesheimer in that beautiful McDonald's Jordan number 45 machine there in position number 2. Starting in position number 3 in the Raptor Ally Chevrolet, that is the 45 ride of J.J. Moore. To his outside in the number 36, that is the Tom's Tasty Taters in Walleye Fish Sandwiches ride of Gage Wenzel. Starting in position number 5 in the Tiny Toes number 17, the beautiful Texas Longhorn colors here this evening, that is Corey Denkin. His Tiny Toes ride there in 5th. To his outside will be the Budweiser number 9 of Al Likens. Likens comes into this race as our points leader, hoping to try to extend that points lead, hoping to try to earn some more points and adding to potentially his championship drive here this evening. As the 34 ride of Drew King in the beautiful United States Postal Service 34 ride will start there in 7th. To his outside, the Monster Energy number 20, it's Jeremiah Nelson. Starting back in position number 9 in the 8 ride, that is Ken Mueller in that beautiful 213 Simware.com. The DHL ride there in 9th. To his outside, the Amazon Prime 94 is Adam Boughton. The beautiful Bulldogs ride, that is the 77 of Dalton Wicker back in 11th with Anthony Ludi. James Hudson, the 11 of Chris Zofeld. Back in 15th is Chase Abel in the Noble American number 7 ride. And Daryl Johnson in the 4 ride, bringing up the rear of the field as we end all the anticipation with our feature presentation as we are quickly green flag racing here at Texas Motor Speedway. Already 3 wide in contact back there behind them. Look out, they're slamming into it. The caution flag is out. Caution flag on the opening lap. Looks like Chris Zofeld is going to get collected here in this one as the Tide ride. Unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time, as Drew King looked to have some issues there down the back straightaway. Let's take a look at it. So Drew King down low. I'm not sure if he's just trying to pull down and out of the way. Looks like he gets loose. Well, look at the 8 ride right there behind him as well. So down low, cold tires here. And unfortunately, a couple of these drivers getting loose. Loses the rear end, washes down to the infield. Gar snap hooks back up the track into the 2 ride of James Hudson. The 11 of Chris Zofeld. Nowhere to go. Big hit right there for Zofeld, man. Heavy hit not only into the 2 car, into the outside fence, but down into the inside wall as well. That was a big hit there for that number 11 machine. Let's take a look here as the Caliber Collision crew is going to have to really go to work. Oh yeah, some pretty big contact there. And then another big hit right there as well. Heavy damage to a few of our drivers early on in this race. Even Anthony Ludi, one of our playoff drivers, kind of gets collected in this one. Anthony's just trying to sneak his way through it, but you're going to watch this 34 ride. Snap hooks back up the racetrack, trying to recollect that car. Unfortunately, comes right back up into the 2 ride of James Hudson. Nowhere to go for the 11 of Chris Zofeld. There you see Ludi gets into the back end of the 11 ride after getting into the fence himself, and that's what's going to shove Chris Zofeld down the racetrack. Hard contact into that inside wall. Heavy damage for him. That discount tire ride tore up, but unfortunately for Drew King, the car that kind of started all that mayhem, comes to a rest as well as our first caution flag of the day. is going to be displayed. So some pretty big hits early on. Obviously, drivers are going to be looking to try to get their cars repaired, whether or not it's through the quick repair or just trying to let the crew try to, knock these fenders back into shape, try to get these cars fixed up, and trying to save that quick repair for a little later in this race. As Justin Toll says, 95 Lightning McFreaking Queen. He says the 95 ride. All right, I like it. Going with the Lightning McQueen vibes here in the 95 machine. I like that. Unfortunately for Ludi, he gets tied up in the first one there. Drew King says, gotta root for that 34 ride for Drew King. Unfortunate break, brother. Cheering yourself on, and it backfires right on the opening lap. That's a tough one. That is a tough one to swallow right there. As we'll get them all stacked up, we'll get them all racked up, and we'll get ready to try and get back to battle here. We'll see if we can get everything sorted out, see where everyone's supposed to be out there on the speedway. We'll get everyone kind of wrapped up and back into the battle and back into the action here this evening as an early race caution flag. We never like to see that. Obviously, Chris Zofeld still down pit sign. I do believe for Zofeld, he may have had to tow this car down pit road. He may end up going a couple laps down here. James Hudson also looks like James has taken his car right down behind pit wall. He's no longer even down pit lane. He's not out there on the racetrack for Drew King. He's trying to keep himself here on the lead lap. He's got to get out here before our race leaders pass him. Luckily enough, he is able to exit the pits there. For the 34 ride, still a bit of damage on that car. Doesn't look like it's in too bad a shape as the car that kind of got things started definitely still very much in this race. Unfortunately for two innocent bystanders, that 2 right of James Hudson, the 11 of Chris Zofeld, not as lucky here this evening as it looks like Zofeld, he's taking his car off the racing surface as well. So for Chris Zofeld and James Hudson, 2 drivers, looks like they have already potentially left this race, and they're already at least a couple laps down out there on the racetrack. Even if they rejoin the server, even if they do get back out into the action. So that is a heartbreaker there for them. So for any of the Hudson fans in the chat or Chris Zofeld fans as well, bear with us here. We'll see if they try to rejoin, if they get back out there onto the racetrack, if they can get rolling again here this evening. Is out in front, it's Dylan Picklesheimer. Picklesheimer leads this race. Gage Wenzel will take the inside lane here as Dylan Picklesheimer will choose to use the outside lane here for this restart. Now he gets the fire first. He gets the launch down through that Geico restart zone. He'll be looking for a quick shift up through these gears, trying to not spin the tires and hope that he can try to build a bit of a gap down into number 1 between himself and Gage Wenzel to try to give himself that extra little bit of an advantage here. As here we go, back to battle, and it's a big jump on the inside lane. Oh, man, they may have to go back and take a look at that one. Big hit there into the back end of the 36, but as they go down in there, already out of the Geico restart zone. So I think this is the big question. Did the 45 ride potentially spin the tires, or did he just misjudge where they were restarting? The 36 ride is behind the 45. Cars are getting ready to go. They want to go. Even the 36 is trying to be cordial and trying not to beat the 45 ride back down to the start finish line until J.J. Moore finally gives him a shot, says, all right, let's go. We're past the restart zone. Green flag is in the air. We need to be set loose, and they will use it to their advantage. Great restart there for those two as they'll jump up into first and second for the 45 ride of Dylan Picklesheimer. Our race leader all of a sudden loses that race lead on the restart. Now he's trying to battle back though. He had fallen back to third, but working to the outside of J.J. Moore, trying to jump back into second as Mr. Gage Wenzel, now our race leader. So the Tom's Tasty Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches, number 36 of Gage Wenzel, out in front, leading the way here in this one. And Sean O'Keefe, what's good, Sean? Sean says, hey there, Mr. Announcer. Hey, what's good, Sean? How are you, mister? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful day as he says, go 36, cheering on Gage here this evening. But here we go, that 45 ride looking hooked up here this evening. And for Dylan Picklesheimer, did not take him long, but he does find his way back to the front of the field. So Dylan Picklesheimer back out in front, but you gotta wonder how much is he burning up these tires. He's been running the last few laps quite a bit quicker than our race leader of the car in second, even the car back in third, and he's really been working those tires a lot here to start this run, and that could be a big issue later in this race. That could be a big problem later in the run. As tires start to fade away, they're going to fade off a lot sooner than what the fuel is going to run out. So you got to be very, very careful on how hard you're pushing your race car here in the opening laps and how much of that tire are you burning up. As here we go, we see a couple big slides there down and out of corner number 2. The 45 ride went down the racetrack. It opens up the outside lane here for Gage Wenzel to potentially try to take this race lead back away for Dylan Picklesheimer. Can you imagine those hot tires? Definitely starting to feel that wear and tear already. Only 9 laps into this race. As Gage Wenzel going to stick right there with him. We'll let him back into the inside. He'll be patient here. He'll let that 45 ride go. Expecting to try to catch up to him a little later in this run, as now he's got the 48 ride at JJ Moore all over his back bumper here. JJ, he wants to go here. He's just trying to stay to that inside groove. Unfortunately, you want to start making passes. You want to start working your way maybe towards the front of the field. If you got a car in front of you, you got to run where they're not. And for the 48 ride, may have to do exactly what Al Likens just did, and that's roll the outside lane. It may burn up your tires a little bit more. It may cost you some speed later in the run. But for the 9 ride, he does jump up and into that second position out there on the racetrack. And for our points leader, Al Likens, looking for another big run, hoping to have another great race here this evening, knowing that he wants to try to extend his points lead between himself and Gage Wenzel. The 77 ride of Dalton Wicker, who sits back in position number 6 on the speedway, is the Red Dog. It's a Bulldog on there, but it's the Red Dog number 77 ride here this evening. So for the Tiny Toes machine, new paint scheme, new ride. We'll have to see kind of what Red Dog is all about here at some point in this race. It's obviously a beautiful looking race car out there on the racetrack trying to work himself to the front of the field. It's Jeremiah Nelson back there in position number 7. Daryl Johnson there in 8th. Chase Abel back in 9th with Corey Dank, Adam Bounton, Kent Mueller there in 12th. Then we see Anthony Ludi and all these other drivers just trying to slowly but surely work themselves back up here towards the front of the field. As we did see a lot of these drivers, they did come down pit road there on lap number 2. Now, a lot of them did not take tires. Tires are going to be very, very key, very important here throughout this race, so you do not want to use them up early on here this evening, or else that will put you into a huge deficit, a huge hole later in this race. If you don't have those fresh tires, you can't use them to your advantage, then it could cost you a good run here this evening. So being easy on these tires, trying to maybe get an entire run or 2 out of them, trying to make sure that you have an extra set maybe late in this race. Even if you give up a bunch right now, you can get it back later on, as you can't win the race on lap number 14. You can't win the race on lap number 50. You can only win this race when we take that checkered flag on lap 134. As Tay says, damn, I jinxed the 11. Call me Rosberg? Is that a jinx? I don't know that reference. That reference, I do not get that reference. 20, I don't get that. I don't get it. 20, Owl Bear, I don't get that reference. Come on now, come on. What in the world is Rosberg? What is that? Is it some sort of a jinx or a person or a thing? I don't know what that is. I might have to Google that. Sorry, lame reference. Okay. No worries. I won't put that on you. 20. I won't put that on you. Don't worry about that. Is out in front, it is still Dylan Picklesheimer. Picklesheimer looking strong here early on at Texas Motor Speedway. Definitely came prepared. A pretty quick lap time in qualifying to qualify P2. Obviously now just on the throttle, trying to get these laps clicked down, trying to run some good solid laps out there on the speedway after that opening lap wreck. Obviously things have kind of got a little bit more open. This is kind of what we expect to see from a race at Texas Motor Speedway. Things are still tight. Drivers are still kind of right there nose to tail, but it's a lot more single file. It's a lot more cordial out there. And for a lot of these drivers, what they're doing is they're just trying to play the strategy game now, whether or not it's trying to save tire for later in the run or trying to use a second setup maybe later than everybody else, not wanting to try to put themselves into a tough situation out there on the speedway. And now you just kind of got to just click these laps off, stay in line, keep some of this little bit of draft that they get. As Sean O'Keefe says, Eldora Speedway. Oh, is that the reference? Is that the reference? I don't. Is Eldora Speedway a jinx? I don't know if I get that reference or not. The Rosberg, I guess, I guess that is the town that Eldora Speedway's in. I just don't understand the reference there. Is there, well, someone's got to give me the lore on it, okay? Someone's got to give me the lore on it. I don't know what the lore is, so you guys got to let me know, because I'll be out in left field picking dandelions. I have no idea what that reference goes to, except for now that you said Eldora Speedway. I do know that is in Rosberg, so, okay, that at least connects one dot there, but other than that, I'm not too sure. Yes, he says, yes, so, okay, so Eldora Speedway is a jinx, but why is Eldora Speedway a jinx? What's the lore on that part? That's what I don't get. Is Dylan Picklesheimer out in front. Al Likens, his teammate, right there behind him as the slightly dangerous racing crew try to come home with another 1-2 finish here. As last week we saw that number 45 rider Dylan Picklesheimer just staying true to his teammate's back bumper, pushing Al Likens out in front and into another win here on the season. And for our American... Oh, man, I'm drawing a blank now. Our, oh, gosh. Get me in trouble, chat. Our NobleAmerican.com 200 here this evening, trying to put himself into another win for the AmericanNoble.com playoffs here this year. As Sean says, that's all I know. That's all you know. Okay, that's all you know. All right. Well, we may have to do some researching later on. We might have to do some researching later in the evening and see if we can kind of break that one down, if we can figure out what that jinx is, what's going on there with that one. We may have to look into the lore. No jinx I know of. Okay. All right. Interesting. Dwani Owlbear, you may have to break that down for us. Okay? I like lame references, but I don't know that one, as you do see that beautiful Noble American ride out there on the speedway. That beautiful number 7 ride of Chase Abel. Abel already up 7 positions. Started back in 15th. Now finds himself in the 8th position. So he's slowly but surely working his way towards the front. And a huge shout again to BuyNobleAmerican.com. The absolute amazing apparel company. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys check them out and show them some love here, being our sponsor here for these entire playoffs, as the BuyNobleAmerican.com 200 here this evening from Texas Motor Speedway has already given us quite a bit of craziness here. An early race wreck down the back straightaway where we've seen 2 drivers unfortunately exit this race, and then craziness off the ensuing restart there where we saw Picklesheimer not get a great launch, not really go too far forward, and Gage Wenzel and JJ Moore were able to get around him. But now with Picklesheimer out in front and Al Likens right there with him, we start to see now, after probably about 20 laps really of green flag racing minus the caution flag laps here, these guys have really started to see some of that tire fall off, and it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. So for the drivers that were a little bit more on the throttle, that were running a little bit tougher early in this run, they're going to start to feel that pain. They're going to start to slide backwards. They're going to start to see those drivers that were a little bit easier on their tires slowly but surely start to reel them in, start to put that pressure back under their rear bumper here, and that's what's going to cause a lot of issues here. Is you're going to have to try to play some of that strategy all day long, especially because we could see the rest of this race go clean and green. We could see this race having not another single caution flag out there on the racetrack. That opening lap yellow may have been the only one we see here this evening. We've seen these drivers do it before. They most certainly may do it again here tonight. So we'll have to wait and see if that is the case, if that is, kind of how things play out, or if we can kind of get a couple timely caution flags that may help you, it may hurt you out there on the racetrack. And for any of our playoff drivers, not getting tied up in one of those scenarios, not getting put into a position where maybe you make a green flag pit stop, you go a lap down, and a lap or two later we see that caution flag fly, where all of a sudden you lose so much track position, you got more wear and tear onto your tires, and all of a sudden you're just put into a very difficult position here in this race. So you got to be very, very careful about when you're making these pit stops. And green flag pit stops are going to be a thing. We are going to see these drivers having to make at least a few green flag pit stops here this evening. We're going to see at least 2, probably 3 green flag cycles here this evening if we stay clean and green. Now, there may be more pit stops, especially if we do see some caution flags here throughout this race. Drivers are going to take a lot of drivers, especially deeper in the pack. We've already seen some of them like Darrell Johnson, Bounton, Ludi, Kent Mueller. A lot of these guys that didn't even have damage from that first caution flag had made their way down pit side on lap number 2 just to give themselves that extra couple laps of an advantage here when it comes to the fuel mileage out there on the speedway. So trying to earn that extra little bit, it can help you out a lot. It can also play no special hand at all throughout this race. But if we start to see more yellows, especially back-to-back cautions, and drivers can kind of get that little bit of a leg up, get that 4 or 5 lap extra fuel into their ride compared to some of these other drivers, that could be a huge difference maker throughout these runs. It's out in front. It is that 45 of Dylan Picklesheimer, who still holds on to the race lead, but right there behind him, it is that 36 of Gage Wenzel. Wenzel sticking right there with him as J.J. Moore now back into that 3rd position as Al Likens falls back into position number 4. Dalton Wicker has worked his way around Max Koss, Jeremiah Nelson, and now hunting down this 9 ride as Dalton Wicker finally works his way inside of the top 5 out there on the speedway. Now he's looking to try to move himself into position number 4 out there on the racetrack. Jeremiah Nelson sits back in 6 with Chase Abel now making the move around Jeremiah Nelson, around Max Koss for position number 7. So move the 7 ride into position number 7 as Chase Abel works his way there into that position. You see Max Koss trying to stay right on his back bumper, hoping to get the open door, hoping to reclaim that 7th position, but down the back straightaway doesn't look like it'll play out there for him. As Adam Bounton back up into the 9th position in tow of both those drivers, trying to reel them in as Darrell Johnson back here in that Unleash the Beast Monster Energy number 4 ride, rounding out our top 10. A driver that got caught up in that first caution flag was able to get some repairs there. I'm not sure if they got all of this car repaired, but for that Adidas 95 ride of Mr. Anthony Ludi rolls there in the 11th position. Kent Mueller back there in position number 12. Corey Denk in his beautiful Texas Longhorns number 17 ride, that tiny dose machine, does have a little bit of right front damage on that car. It looks like somewhere around the line he had gotten into the back of somebody, maybe in that pileup. As we started to go back to green flag racing, we saw a few drivers getting onto the throttle. Cars in front of them were not rolling, and we saw quite a bit of stack up there. And unfortunately for Corey Denk, he may have gotten the worst of that as he's got some pretty solid front end damage. Drew King, who we saw get turned around, go around there in that first caution flag. He still has a little bit of damage on that 34 ride. He's back in that 14th position. Unfortunately, James Hudson and Chris Sofeld both look to be down and out of this race still. So unfortunately for both the 2 and the 11 machine, they are parked down pit side. And now you see the 34 get up and tag the fence. That is a big hit right there for the 34. That was a major bit of contact. You see that damage to that right front. And oh man, that is going to affect his car a lot here. That is really going to make this thing ill handling, and definitely going to have to potentially see him make an early pit stop to try to get this car repaired again, because this thing is going to be an absolute animal. It is going to be a handful to try to keep pointed in the right direction, especially if that tire starts to fade away. If he's got a tire rub or anything else, that could end his night in a quick hurry. As Picklesheimer trying to hold on to the race lead. Gage Wenzel right there with him, sticking to his back bumper here. Has already 35 laps completed in this race as they head down through corner number 3 and out of corner number 4 here at Texas Motor Speedway. Down across the line, they will complete lap number 36. Now, I expect to probably see some of these drivers starting to come down pit road, I'm going to say over the next 10 laps or so. I think a lot of these drivers are trying to split this race into a 2-stop pit cycle. So if they could kind of come down pit road somewhere around lap number 45, that gives them an opportunity to make a pit stop around lap number 90 again. And then obviously if you can pit on lap number 90, if you can make it that 45 lap run, that gives you a good lap advantage to finish off this race and go from lap 90 to 135. And for all these drivers, they only got to make it pit, hopefully to lap 134, biting some late race caution flags and potential of NASCAR overtime. So I think for a lot of these drivers, those are the numbers that they're looking to get to. They're hoping to hit that 45 lap marker. We may see some make a little bit earlier of a pit stop. We may see some make a little bit later of a pit stop, trying to make sure that they got that extra little bit of fuel, maybe that extra little bit of tire there later in the run, as it's been about a second of tire fall off here throughout this first run. So really it's not too bad. The lights are off. There's a lot of grip in this racetrack and still a lot of heat out there as well, being in that beautiful Texas summer heat. And for these drivers, they're trying to take advantage of every little inch that they can get. If they can make it to two pit stop race, could really help them out, as we do see Corey Denk makes his way down pit side here, and that 34 rider Drew King. Now King's got a lot of damage to repair for that for the 17 rider Corey Denk as well. Also quite a bit of damage there for that number 17. So we should see both drivers come down pit lane. You see the 34 unfortunately misses pit stall as they get some four tires, get some fuel, get some damage repaired, and they'll look to roll back out there onto the racetrack. And now being at the back of the pack, some of the strategy call may be their saving grace out there on the speedway, as they are the first two to come down pit side. Now that's quite a bit earlier, quite a bit sooner than I think a lot of these drivers want to go to, as we still see our top 12 staying out on the racetrack. No one else coming back down pit road here 2 laps later than the other two. So you do see Drew King, he's rolling back out there, still has that damage though for the most part on that car. And for Corey Denk, Corey is still down pit side here, so I'm not sure if they use the bathroom or what may have been the slower stop there for the 17 ride, but for the Tiny Toes ride, that is really going to hurt his chances here this evening. And I think for the most part that may even cost him a lap out there on the racetrack, as our race leaders are storming down the front straightaway down into corner number 1. For Corey Denk, he may go 2 laps down. Luckily enough, he's able to just get in front of our race leaders and just trying to keep himself somewhat into this battle, somewhat into this race. Is down across the line. He'll start lap number 39, so he is 2 laps down. But once these guys make their pit stops, he should be able to hopefully try to get back on the lead lap. May still be very, very close to going a lap down, as we do see Gage Wenzel blinking a little bit right there. Hopefully not too much of that throughout the race for that 36 ride, as he's trying to figure out a way to get to the point here, and it may be down pit road. One thing you cannot have, especially if you're one of our playoff drivers here this evening, is a pit road penalty. You have a pit road penalty. You have to make that additional stop down pit side. You get held down in your pit stop for 30 seconds or a minute, whatever it may be. Any kind of penalty making these green flag pit stops could be make or break here on your season, especially with only 2 races left to go after tonight in these playoffs. If you want a chance, if you want an opportunity to try to win this championship, you really just need to be perfect, not only out there on the racetrack, but you got to be perfect down pit road. You cannot be making major mistakes down pit side here in this race. As here we go, we do see Dylan Pinkelsheimer, our race leader. He's going to make that hard left-hand turn. He will come down pit road. Just got to make sure he gets checked up in time, make sure he does not get caught speeding down pit road. And so far, it looks good there for that 45 ride. So Pinkelsheimer does pit here on lap number 44. All 11 drivers still out there on the lead lap, elect to stay out at least another lap longer, so they're going to keep on rolling. As we do see Gage Wenzel, he does reconsume the race lead, so now he's out in front. He's got the top spot, but Dalton Wicker coming in a quick hurry here. Wicker looking very, very good late in this run. The Red Dog 77 ride, the Tiny Toes Machine's working his way up towards the front of the field here, as Emma says, let's go Gage here on Gage here this evening, as we do see Dylan Pinkelsheimer able to leave pit road, no penalties, able to get a good pit stop in right there for the 45. He'll try to build up that speed, try to get rolling here once again. We do see Max Koss now making his pit stop on lap number 45 as well. We'll have to wait and see. Still looks like our top 2 going to stay out a little bit longer. Al Likens, JJ Moore, they're going to hang there with them, as I think a lot of these drivers are now at their number. They're at that lap 45 area. We're going to start to see more and more of them start to make their way down pit side. But to have that extra little bit of fuel especially late in this race, in case if there is a late race caution flag, potentially coming down, you know, at lap 50, lap 100, and then making sure that you're good to go on fuel here for the rest of this race could be a huge advantage, especially if you can give yourself, you know, better tires out there in the longer run. Right now for Dylan Picklesheimer, he's going to be running a lot of very, very quick lap times. He's going to be really being able to gain probably what is going to be a race lead advantage here on everyone that was back there behind him. The more laps that he's running, though, and they're staying out there on the racetrack, will be the bigger lead he'll have once things cycle back through. But on the back half of that cycle, he's going to be going a lot slower than these other cars. His car is going to fall off a lot sooner than what they will, so it's going to be really right down to the very end of a lot of these runs. It's going to be the make or break scenario for a lot of these drivers, and for Picklesheimer seems to be on that two-stop cycle, but coming down a little bit earlier than lap 45. It'll be interesting to see when he makes his way back down pit side. As here comes the 95 ride, Anthony Ludy. Ludy heads down pit road. He looks to make his green flag pit stop as Gage Wenzel now sees Al Likens. Likens now into position number 2 out there on the speedway, and here we go. We're going to see our top 2 drivers head down pit road. Gage Wenzel, Al Likens, and the 77 of Dalton Wicker. Wicker's got to be careful there. Luckily enough, looks like he was able to check up, get down to speed before hitting that first timing zone. That was a lucky break right there. I wasn't sure if he was sliding that right rear or if he was sliding down through the pits here, and that could have been game over there for Wicker. Luckily enough, able to get checked up, does not get a penalty. We do see Anthony Ludy make his way back onto the racetrack as Jeremiah Nelson also down pit side. Chase Abel takes his Noble American ride also down pit road as the apparel for Patriots machine down pit side. We do see J.J. Moore now coming down pit road, so it looks like Adam Boughton and Kent Mueller going to run a little bit longer here as J.J. Moore finally comes down pit side. Here comes Gage Wenzel, Al Likens, Dalton Wicker, all coming out of the pits. Dylan Picklesheimer with the race lead here as things cycle back through. He is out in front now. He came down pit road virtually 5 laps before all these other drivers. So for Gage Wenzel, he is now 4 seconds or so behind Dylan Picklesheimer out there on the speedway, but he should be able to gain quite a bit of that time back later in this run. But for right now, for Dylan Picklesheimer, he's got a big gap. He's got a huge advantage between himself and that 36 ride as J.J. Moore rolls back in on the racetrack. We do see Adam Boughton now make his way down pit side. Looks like the 8 rider Kent Mueller going to stay out for at least an additional lap here. We'll see when he finally decides to come down pit road. Looks like he's going to go another lap here as well. So it's already lap 52 completed off the board here, and he's still rolling out there on the racetrack, still just trying to play a little bit of strategy here, see if maybe even better tires, if he can have 10 lap better tires than a lot of these drivers, you know, come the end of this second run, this second drive out there, he could be the fastest car out there on the racetrack and could really give himself a bit of an advantage. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out, but for right now, for Dylan Picklesheimer, it's playing out perfectly for him as the 8 ride starts to work his way down pit road. Here he comes. He'll hit the pit lane here and look to make that pit stop. And for Dylan Picklesheimer, that will put him back on the lead lap. Now he's got to do a full circle back around and take over the race lead once again from Kent Mueller. But as of right now, he does have about a 3.4 second lead now over his teammate as Al Likens back up into what will be position number 2. Gage Wenzel back there in what will be 3rd with J.J. Moore back in 4th. Adam Boughton comes out of the pits. Looks like he'll be in that 5th position, so making a fairly later pit stop there for J.J. Moore and Adam Boughton. Both drivers able to get down pit road pretty nicely here, and they actually leapfrog Dalton Wicker, and Wicker falls back into what will be the 6th position. He's got Max Koss, Jeremiah Nelson right there, as we do see Chase Abel back in tow in the 9th position. Darrell Johnson there in 10th. Ken Mueller down on the apron here, just trying to build up that speed, currently scored in the 11th position. Looks like he'll hold on to 11th as Anthony Ludy a little ways away back there behind him. Corey Denk, unfortunately, now the first driver a lap down out there on the speedway. For Drew King, looked like King had to come back down pit road, and for Drew King, looks like he's taking that car back down behind pit wall. So that right front damage for that 34 ride proved to be a little bit more than what I think he had in store, or thought that the issues were there for that 34 ride. It looks like his night may be done. So for right now, The only driver that is a lap down is the 17 of Corey Denk. If we get a caution flag, it could get him back onto the lead lap, back into the action here this evening. But for now, he's stuck in a very, very tough position as Dylan Picklesheimer continues to lead the way. Al Likens, Gage Wenzel, and the rest of the field trying to hunt him down here after 55 laps of racing action here at Texas Motor Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are just tuning in and you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor. Do what Brian Ellington just did right now. Hit that gosh heckin' like on the stream. Hit that thumbs up here on the broadcast for us. All you gotta do is hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching over on YouTube. Hit that follow button if you're watching over on Facebook or Twitch, and become part of the Peacemaker family here today. So you guys do not want to miss any of this racing action. Turn those bell notifications on, that way you don't miss it when we go live here on Peacemaker Gaming. As let's jump on board here with Mr. Picklesheimer for a lap as he'll take us around Texas Motor Speedway. All right, a beautiful lap there around Texas Motor Speedway. It's Dylan Picklesheimer trying to keep himself out in front, hoping to try to find victory lane here this evening for the slightly dangerous racing team as he takes us back down into corner number 3. You can see the high banks here at Texas Motor Speedway and how this track has really worked out, how much these drivers are on the throttle, how much they're rolling out of it. Now, a lot of these guys are going to be a little bit more aggressive on the throttle than what we see out of this number 45 right now. As of right now, Dylan Picklesheimer, he's trying to save some of his tires, trying to save that car. You see some of these guys now back behind him in that same boat. Now, late in the race, if they've got an extra set on their race cars, for a lot of these drivers, they may be just full throttle around this racetrack. We have seen them do it in the past, be virtually full throttle the entire time around this racetrack. But as of right now, in the long run, you got to take care of your equipment. You got to take care of those tires and try to be a little bit more on cruise control. Maybe not push the car as hard as what you'd maybe want to or could out there on the speedway. But if we see a late race yellow flag, some of these drivers have an extra set of tires back there behind pit wall. I can bet you right now that there's not going to be a whole lot of lifting on that throttle throughout a lap here at Texas Motor Speedway. They will be on that throttle, and they will be looking to try to keep all these guys back there behind them or trying to make some passes, and they are not going to be holding back. They're not going to be hitting the brake pedal. They're not going to be letting off that throttle. They're going to give it everything they can and just hope that it sticks and that they can get the runs that they're looking for to try to work themselves into a better position late in this race. As Picklesheimer right now in the best position, but now just under 2 seconds back is his teammate Al Likens. Likens continues to close that gap here on our race leader now with the 5-lap better tires. You expect to see that. You expect to see Picklesheimer continue to kind of slide back here towards these cars that are chasing him down. Now, he's got to hope that he can save a little bit in the process and hope that maybe they burn their stuff up a little bit sooner than they would expect to, and hoping that once they maybe catch him, that they can be at a level playing field, the same kind of tires out there, and kind of just balance things out as 62 laps now going to be 63 laps completed in this race. We're getting down to that nitty-gritty portion of the race. We're getting very, very close to that halfway marker, and for a lot of these drivers, it's all going to be about just taking care of your equipment here in this final run. Now that we see things a lot more open, there's a lot more time in between each driver out there on the speedway. There's not a lot of door-to-door type battles out there on the racetrack. You just got to imagine that we're not going to see another caution flag. No matter what you're doing or thinking out there on the racetrack, you can plan for a yellow, but you got to be thinking in the back of your mind that there is not going to be a caution flag throughout the rest of this race. So you got to play this out like you're doing another, what is that, 70 lap run. So you got to imagine that you're doing another 70 laps here without a caution flag. So you got to plan out your pit stops. You got to plan everything out. Make sure that you're taking care of your tires and fuel, and just making sure that you can hit your numbers, and that when you have to get onto the throttle, when you have to try to use some of these tires up, that you got enough left in the tank that you can keep these guys back there at bay, not get super loose, not make a big mistake out there that could cost you a couple positions or a chance at winning this feature event. Right now, Picklesheimer doing a great job of that out in front, leading it here, but the gap is now about to be a second and a half as Al Likens, his teammate in the slightly dangerous in number 9 ride, that Budweiser machine, trying to hunt him down. Gage Wenzel back there in third. He's looking to try to hang right there with them. And JJ Moore, JJ doing a fantastic job here this evening as well. That 48 ride has shown a ton of speed, has had some very, very good runs. And for the 48 ride, hoping that he can finish off tonight with another solid performance, another solid drive, and hoping to get the finish that he deserves. A lot of these races he tends to get tore up or put into the wrong place at the wrong time, and just not getting the finishes that I think this car has the speed to get. So seeing him here duking it out inside the top 4, continuing to look for more. It'll be interesting to see what he can do here later on this evening. For Adam Bounton, he's up into that 5th position. He's been one driver that's been slowly but surely navigating his way towards the front of the field. Behind him, we see that beautiful red dog number 77 of Dalton Wicker. Wicker rolls there in that 6th position as we are now officially halfway to go here in this feature event. 67 laps are now completed, this time by the start-finish line. It'll be 68 laps left to go here tonight. So 6 laps now left in this race, and for right now, all these drivers, they know virtually they either got to step up their game in the second half of this race, they got to make some changes, they got to make a difference out to their racing line, or what their strategy is going to work out for them or not. They may have to change things up if they want to give themselves an opportunity to win this feature event. If you're Dylan Picklesheimer, you just got to be thinking to yourself here, okay, I led it halfway, I've been out in front, I've been leading a ton of laps here tonight. So far, my strategy for the most part has worked out in my favor, but how long can you hang on to it, and can it work again? Can it keep you out in front late in this race that it could potentially put you into that winner's circle? Is down through corner number 3 and nice and easy down and into corner number 4 here. He'll exit corner 4 and back onto the front straightaway, down across the line, click off lap number 70 here this evening. So virtually for Dylan Picklesheimer, he has ran only 26 laps on this set of tires. 26 laps of green flag racing here for that 45 ride since he came down pit road. The cars behind him, including Al Likens, Gage Wenzel, they were down pit road on lap 49. They got 5 lap better tires than this 45 ride. Will that make a huge difference? Will that make a huge effect here in his car late in this race, or his position potentially before the next wave of green flag pit stops? You see Al Likens, the rest of these guys continuing to reel him in, and as they start to reel closer and closer to his back bumper, is just going to put more and more pressure here on the Dylan Picklesheimer. He knows that if he can hang on to the race lead somewhere around lap number 90, make that same strategy call where he's good on fuel, he can get to the end of this race without having to make another pit stop, and he can virtually put himself into the same scenario where late in the race he can have this big lead, allow these guys to try to hunt him down, but if he can hold them back there at bay once they catch him, then that may be the strategy call to try to win this race or give him the best chance at winning this feature event. So we'll have to wait and see what Picklesheimer's going to do and how that will play out for him, and it makes him feel a little bit more confident with his teammate Al Likens being right there as well. Likens rolls in position number 2. So Al is currently sitting in that second spot. If Dylan is going to lose this race, I'm sure he'd be happy to lose to the 9 ride of Al Likens, as he knows Likens is our points leader coming into this race. He had a sizable gap, about 11 points between himself and our second place driver in the point standings, the 77 ride of Dalton Wicker. Wicker had a 3-point gap between himself and our third place driver in this race, and third place driver in the point standings, this 36 ride of of Gage Wenzel. For Adam Belton, he had worked his way inside the top 5 in the points, and so did the 8 rider, Kent Mueller. Mueller now also a part of our top 5 in the point standings, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of strategies these guys have, knowing that they need some big point stays to try to close that gap, try to reel in a couple of these drivers and try to advance themselves in the championship hunt, coming down to our penultimate race next Thursday, and then our championship race 2 Thursdays from now. It's coming to a quick close for these drivers to try to make an opportunity work and try to make something happen to give themselves an opportunity to try and win this championship. Is down across the line, lap 75 now off the board for that 45 ride of Dylan Picklesheimer. Picklesheimer out in front. The gap is virtually half a second now between himself and Al Likens. When we saw Likens and Wenzel get back out on the racetrack, the gap was about 4 seconds. So over virtually this 30-lap run or so that the 45 ride has had, they have gained quite a bit of time on him, and they have gained that gap. They've closed the 3 seconds here virtually, or a little bit more, on this number 45 ride of Dylan Picklesheimer. But for Picklesheimer, was he playing a little bit more strategy? Was he taking a little bit easier on this 45 ride? And now that they've kind of caught him, can he start to hold them at bay? Can he maybe start to pull away from them and keep himself in this top position? As Dylan out in front has Al Likens there behind him. We do see Gage Wenzel and J.J. Moore rolling right there in 3rd and 4th. Now the gap back to Adam Belton about a second and a half here, as Belton does have the 4 ride right there in front of him. Unfortunately, that is Daryl Johnson. Daryl now going a lap down here. He is the first car a lap down now out on the racetrack, moving Corey Denk out of that free pass position. So for Corey, now not being the only car, the first car down a lap here, no longer in that free pass spot, makes things that much tougher for him. If there is a caution flag, he will not be back on the lead lap unless if he takes a wave around and hopes to see another caution. But you see that damage to the left front of the 4 ride. You have to imagine that Daryl may have ran into an issue, got loose, tagged another car, or potentially got into the infield fence somewhere out there on the racetrack and caused that left front damage. We'll see how that tire is going to hold up here throughout the rest of this run and see if the crew can go to work, get that fixed up. Doesn't look like much of a tire rub or anything else. And for that number 4 ride, able to just keep on rolling, and he is hoping to see that caution flag. He wants to try to get a lucky dog and back into the battle here this evening for that 4 ride. But for his teammate Dylan Picklesheimer, Al Likens, they probably don't want to see the caution, but here we go. We start to see that 36 of Gage Wenzel reeling into the back bumper here of Al Likens, looking to start to put the pressure here on this number 9 right now. We saw this towards the end of that first pit cycle when we saw the 36 starting to work his way around. The 9 ride had worked his way up into the the 45 of Dylan Picklesheimer, had yet to make that move, yet to make that pass for the race lead. And then we saw Picklesheimer come down pit road, and we're really getting down to that point. We're really getting down to that area where we're going to start to see these guys come back down pit side. Anywhere between now and lap 100 is probably when we're going to see these guys come down pit road. More than likely, it'll be somewhere around lap number 90 to maybe lap 95 for some of these guys that pushed it a little bit farther. We saw Al Likens, Gage Wenzel. We saw a couple of these guys push it to about lap 49 before they came down pit road. For J.J. Moore, it was lap 50. For Adam Belton, it was lap 51. So for a lot of these drivers, they may have a little bit longer, a little bit better tire advantage here. Now we do see Al Likens making the move here on Dylan Picklesheimer. So they worked themselves up to that 45 ride, and Al Likens looked to be sliding back, but now going on to the attack. And for the 9 ride, he puts himself out in front. So Al Likens to the point, but here comes that 45 ride. Picklesheimer looking back down low, hoping to get another big run. The 36 of Gage Wenzel trying to work maybe to his outside, crosses him over down the back straightaway. A little bit of a block right there. Oh, baby, things are getting racy here at the front of the field as Picklesheimer starting to throw some blocks there on that 36 ride of Gage Wenzel. Wenzel's trying to give it everything he's got to try to work his way around not only that 45 ride, but potentially the 9 ride out there on the speedway as well. So it's going to come down to a drag race into corner number 1. 45 ride sends it in there deep. The 9 ride does as well up on the high side. They're all looking for big runs down and out of corner number 2. And again, you see the 45 just able to clear. That 36 machine jumps down in front of of them and able to kind of put some dirty air back onto the nose of that 36 Ryan. So Gage Wenzel gonna have to try to mount another challenge, another run here to see if he can find enough speed and enough racing room to try to complete this pass around that 45, as it is now allowing this 9 ride of Al Likens to start to open up a bit of a gap here. Likens actually starting to pull a little bit farther away, and for the 9 ride it may be working out into his favor, but here we go. 45 looks to try to wash up again. This time can't quite pull the trigger as that 36 of Gage Wenzel, he is there. So Wenzel able to get a big run right there. Now they're getting tight again. Oh baby, this is some tight racing here for a second. With that number 45 run, he's wanting to try to give the advantage to Al Likens, knowing that his teammates racing for the championship for this 36 machine. He's just trying to get this pass completed, and right now it has proven very difficult. Now there's contact. Look out, Picklesheimer in the 36. They rub, and there goes J.J. Moore. Moore able to get around him. Now here comes Adam Belton. Belton's going to poke his nose right into this battle. He's not going to want to mess around. He's going to want to try to get around these guys as quickly as possible. I'm sure for Gage Wenzel, he's not going to be very happy about how he's been ran here between him and that 45 Ryan. He's going to be a little bit hot, and for the 45 machine of Dylan Picklesheimer, he's going to know that. He's going to know that the 36 is hot, and there's contact again. Oh man, Gage is going to be fuming. Had to really get out of the throttle right there. Does a great job to save that car, as Adam Belton now going to roll around this 45 Ryan down on the inside, going to complete the pass potentially if he can jump up and clear the 45. I'm not sure if the 45 Ryan is going to have anything here for that 94, but I'm sure for certain that this 45 is going to try to hold up this 94 ride as much as possible as well, knowing that Adam Belton is another one of our playoff competitors here in the season, and if he wants to try to get Al Likens the win, then he's going to try to be that thorn in everyone's side here. But here we go. J.J. Moore catching up to that 9 right now. I'm sure he didn't mind that the 48 got by, because he knows that J.J. Moore is not a playoff driver. And if J.J. Moore can win this race, if he can steal it away from the 45 or the 9 ride, then at least it's not another one of the playoff drivers that are going to beat them here this evening, as we did see Dalton Wicker come down pit road. So Wicker comes down pit side a little bit earlier, making this pit stop back on lap number 87. Now this is a little bit earlier than I thought he would come down pit road, but obviously trying to get a bit of an advantage here in this one. As Linda says, you have to wreck someone to win. You're pretty pathetic, she says. Ooh, shots fired right there. It's definitely going to become very interesting, as we do see Picklesheimer now make his way down pit road here for Gage Wenzel, now back into that 4th position after seeing Belton and J.J. Moore get around him here for the 36 ride, and lost a lot of ground. He's now about 3 seconds behind J.J. Moore after being in front of this 48 ride and catching up to that 9 ride of Al Likens. Likens starting to slide back, so the strategy calls are going to be very interesting here late in this race, especially with Picklesheimer down pit road. They may not want to give him a big enough advantage here later in this run, later in this race, as it's getting down to the nitty-gritty. Everyone should be good on fuel here after this point. You come down pit road, you should not have to make another pit stop here this evening, and now we do see Anthony Ludy. Ludy will make his way down pit road. So for the Adidas Toyota, he'll head down pit side, and the 213 Simware Toyota Camry will get some work, get some tires here. As now we do see Adam Belton, we do see Gage Wenzel. They both come down pit road here on lap number technically 91. They're going to come down pit road as 91 laps completed here this evening, and it looks like Dylan Picklesheimer gets a black flag down pit side. Picklesheimer with a black flag for the 45 ride. His chance of winning this race just went out the window, and boy oh boy, some people might even call that one karma right there. They're on a couple big moves there, trying to keep that 36 ride at bay. Now getting caught too fast, exiting pit road, and for the 45, he's going to have to come back down pit side. He stops quite a bit earlier right there. That was a close call for Dalton Wicker, as Wicker almost drove right into the back end of that 45 ride. As, man, that was a close call right there for Dalton Wicker, but for the 45, he's going to have to make this pass-through penalty, as we do see J.J. Moore still rolling out there. Al Likens, Jeremiah Nelson still rolling out there on the racetrack. Chase Abel, Kent Mueller also Still rolling out there. You have to come back down pit road. And for Picklesheimer, he is going to exit pit lane right there after serving his pit road penalty. And that one is going to set him back here this evening. That will probably put him at least a lap down here, even after the pit cycle. So that is going to be a tough call there on for the 45 ride. But sometimes karma is a fickle bitch. And here tonight looks to be that way as Boughton in front of Gage Wenzel still, but Gage right there with them. This was a battle we saw as that 45 ride was blocking the 36. For the 45 ride, kind of got hung up, kind of, caused a lot of slow laps there for the 36 and the 45. It allowed Boughton to catch up to them, and now we see 36 ride trying to figure out a way to get back around Boughton here later in this race, knowing that he wants to try to close that gap, take advantage of this pit stop, and hope that it can work out into their favor. But the longer that they're running here under the green flag conditions, we talked about this in the first run, for a lot of these drivers, they're waiting a little bit longer to come down pit side here. Now they're going to have better tires later in the run. They'll be able to hunt down our race leaders and potentially make some moves to, potentially win this race. So they may be hard chargers later on in this run, but as of right now, they're just kind of rolling out there. They're giving up a lot of time. They're giving up a lot of areas. Now we do see Al Likens. He's going to come down pit road. So Likens makes his way down pit side. We'll have to keep a close call on Boughton and Gage Wenzel here, as we do see that the 45 ride of Picklesheimer right there behind them as well. So Picklesheimer still within striking distance of that 36 ride, as we'll have to see where all these drivers kind of come out as this pit cycle kind of cycles through. Al Likens will hit his pit stall. The crew will go to work. Now here comes J.J. Moore. So Moore will give up the race lead. He heads down pit side for Kent Mueller. He's still rolling out there. We saw this last time. Mueller ran quite a bit longer than everybody else out there on the speedway. We'll see if he does that again, as he will take over the race lead from J.J. Moore. As Moore down pit road, we do see Al Likens rolling back out onto the racetrack now. There goes Adam Boughton. There goes that 36 of Gage Wenzel. They are now around that number 9 ride of Al Likens. But Likens with virtually, I don't even know what the number is here. He's got about 5 lap better tires than Gage Wenzel. 5 lap better tires than Adam Boughton. Potentially he can use those tires to his advantage late in this race, as he does have the 77 of Dalton Wicker right there to his outside. Now Wicker is about 9 lap older tires than this number 9 ride, so it should be no harm trying to keep the 77 back there at bay. As you do see J.J. Moore, he is now exited pit road, and he is going to get up to speed here, and now being blessed with the pass, and obviously being able to get around the 45 and the 36 ride, as they kind of got into their issues out there on the racetrack. For J.J. Moore, he comes out of the pits here. He had a pretty sizable advantage. He now has some of the freshest tires out there on the racetrack, and he only sits about a second and a bit behind Adam Boughton. Boughton and this number 36 ride of Gage Wenzel are not too far away from this 48 ride. You can already see right there in the same picture frame J.J. Moore into this battle. So this may work out to be a big day for this 48 ride, as the Raptor machine hoping to try to find victory lane here this evening, is nice and easy down and out of corner number 4 for this 8 ride of Kent Mueller. Mueller will complete lap number 100 here this evening. So 100 laps completed. We only got 34 more laps left to go here in this one. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you came here for a show. Well, here you go. It's going to be an exciting one here this evening, as we are going to go to a quick Peacemaker Gaming crank it up. So crank up that volume. Cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming, as our race leader Kent Mueller finally goes down pit side. It will forfeit the race lead back over to Adam Boughton as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. Caution flag on the racetrack. You saw it down the back straightaway. The 17 of Corey Dent going to run into some issues. And the yellow flag will be displayed here this evening. So the caution flag coming out for the second time here, really making things interesting. So let's take a look. 17 right in behind J.J. Moore and the 36 right of Gage Wenzel, who was already a few laps down. And for Corey Dank here, down and out of corner number 2. Just gets loose and loses the rear end. Tries to save it. Unfortunately, too late. Car hooks around down the racetrack. Hard contact into that inside fence. Goes for a couple loop-de-loops as the yellow flag gets displayed. That will bring the field tight together in late in this race. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how things get played out here in this one. Now, I do believe that the 45 right of Dylan Picklesheimer was in position for the lucky dog, so Picklesheimer will get the wave around back onto the lead lap. He's back in the 11th position for Darrell Johnson. He is not on the lead lap. We'll have to wait and see what he decides to do. For Corey Denk, he is down pit road here, getting a lot of damage repaired here in this one as Jaden says, go Gage! Cheering on Gage here this evening as we are going to see pretty much everybody start to come down pit road here once again. So Adam Boughton, Gage Wenzel, J.J. Moore, Al Likens, all these drivers making their way down pit side. We'll have to wait and see if everyone's got some fresh tires still behind pit wall, if they elect to use them now or if they want to use them a little bit later here. There you go. We are going to see them all get jacked up here. They're all putting tires on. That's going to set us up for a crazy run here to the finish. Obviously, inside of what now about to be 20 laps left to go here in this feature event. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here by the time we go back to green flag racing. And for all these drivers, they know that it's time to shine. It's time to make some moves. It's time to make something happen. Now, we could see them play a little bit easy here. Things could also get very, very crazy and chaotic in a quick hurry. We did see Kent Mueller. Now, Mueller was down pit road on lap 101. So he does have about, 8 laps, 9 laps of green flag racing on his tires here. But that's still going to give him a bit of a disadvantage behind all these cars back behind him. But we do get another caution flag after 5-10 laps. He comes down pit road. He may have the best tires out there on the racetrack, but he may give up a lot of track position that he may not get back. So you got to be very, very cautious about when you're making that pit stop and when it's going to help you have the best here late in this race. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out for this 8 right of Kent Mueller, and maybe the clean air, maybe the car being at the front of the pack, getting a big restart, maybe that's what he needs to try and get a big run, a big drive, and trying to keep himself kind of right there in the battle, in the hunt, and trying to keep himself potentially out in front, trying to maybe win this race, try to advance himself a little bit farther in the point standings. We do know that after last week, he gained a couple spots. He went from 7th into 5th here in the point standings. And for the 8 ride, the DHL machine, if you can get another big run, another solid drive here this evening, could really put him into a good championship contention run here this season as time is running out for all these drivers in that championship. Boughton, another driver that had hopped into the top 5 in the point standings. He'll be looking for a big run here, trying to finish out this race as well, looking for the race win. J.J. Moore, Gage Wenzel back there in 4th. You look at the 9 right of Al Likens, he'll be back in that 5th position with Dalton Wicker in 6th. Wicker desperately wants to get in front of this 9 right, knows that he needs to gain some points here over Al Likens if he wants to try to close that gap and reel in our points leader here. For Wicker, came into this race in 2nd in the points. He was about 11 points back of that number 9 ride, so he needs to try to get a big finish here and see if he can gain a couple of those points back coming into our final 2 races of these playoffs. Jeremiah Nelson, Max Kosh, Chase Abel, and Anthony Ludi round out our top 10. The 45 right of Dylan Picklesheimer back there in 11th. Darrell Johnson right in front of him is 12th. The first car 1 lap down. Corey Denk, Drew King, James Hudson, and Chris Sofeld all down pit side and off the racetrack. As here we go, back to green flag racing with 20 laps left to go here in the NobleAmerican.com 200, the BuyNobleAmerican.com 200 here this evening. And you see that inside lane got a great jump right there. And for Kent Mueller, he's able to keep that race lead, keep his foot in the throttle. He's trying to just keep on working his way to the point here and hoping to keep all these drivers back there at bay. For J.J. Moore, J.J. got a great launch there, but we do see the caution flag come back out. So the caution flag will be displayed here again. Not sure if it was the 63, if there was an issue here. Yes, there was. Looks like the 63 of Max Cost and the number 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson get tied together here down the back straightaway. Let's see if we can get another look at this one. So Cost is going to be up on the high side. He'll be rolling the outside groove here. Hoping to try to keep some of these drivers back there at bay. He rolls to the outside of the 20. Now, a lot of times you try to side draft. You're trying to keep yourself an advantage here. I'm not really sure if one of them comes up, one of them comes down. They just kind of run out of room here. So it does look like the 20 leaves the white line, starts to come up for the 36 ride, maybe starting to come down, or I don't know if it was netcode that kind of forced him down there, but nonetheless ends up making contact here with that 36. We'll get him sideways. You look at Chase Abel right there, the Noble American ride, going to get some pretty good contact into that as well. So he ends up getting a piece of that 36 machine. Pretty solid contact there for him, and that's a unfortunate break there for Max Costas. He'll have to go down pit road, try to get that car repaired, try to get that thing fixed up, be back into working condition here late in this race for Daryl Johnson. I do believe he should be in the free pass position and back on the lead lap there for the 4 ride, so that's a great break there for him. For the 8 ride of Kent Mueller, I'm amazed that we didn't see Mueller decide to come down pit road, but we do see this 45 ride of Dylan Picklesheimer. He will make his way down pit side. Max Koss also coming down pit road, obviously looking to get some repairs here. Let's take a look at this 45 ride. He's going to come down pit road. If he's got an extra setback there on tires, potentially that couple laps right there, or a lap and a half maybe, of Green Flag Racing, maybe that'll give him an advantage. And there we go. You do see this car getting jacked up. Looks like they are throwing tires onto the 45 ride. So now, late in this race, could have some of the best tires out there on the speedway for that 63 of Max Cost. You'll hope to try to get this thing repaired. We'll have to wait and see if the crew can go to work and get that car fixed up, as you do see Daryl Johnson back on the lead lap as Kent Mueller looks like he's going to stay out here, not coming down pit road. So a bold call, bold strategy right there for Kent Mueller to stay out on the racetrack and not come down pit road. So he's not going to want to give up the clean air and just being out in front. Potentially, that's kind of the bet he's made. Maybe he thinks that this is the best place to be. If there's more cautions, there's more chaos back there behind him, all he's got to do is try to hold these guys off for a couple of laps and hope to see another yellow. And as he does that, it may get closer and closer to that checkered flag, and these tires start to balance out a whole lot more compared to his tires here later in this run. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out, as we do see Koss still down pit side trying to get some of this damage repaired. Corey Denk also still down pit road here. Looks like Corey's probably going to be down here for the rest of the night. There's really no point in him coming back out other than just trying to maybe help his teammate Dalton Wicker get a little closer to the front of the pack here for Max Cost. Obviously heavy damage there on that 63 ride. We'll have to wait and see what he does here. Is obviously now going to fall a lap down late in this race. Not a fun place to be as the lights are off the official iRacing pace car. We start with 16 drivers. We currently have only 11 rolling out there on the racetrack. We saw a couple take early exits. We've seen a couple get tore up late in this race. We saw Drew King, who got tied up in an early wreck. The first wreck there on lap number 1. Still had damage from that. He bounced it off the fence, ran about 48 laps, took that car down pit road, and never came back out. So we'll have to see if any of these drivers that had that damage, if they decide to try to jump back out there. And it looks like Max Koss has taken his car down and off of the racing surface and out of this race. So for Max, looks like his night, unfortunately, is done. As we'll get them all ready to rumble, ready to go back to battle here. The 8 ride of Kent Mueller looking for potential checkered flag here this evening. Can he hold off? J.J. Moore, Adam Belton, Gage Wenzel, and the rest of these hungry drivers back there behind him. Can we see somebody jump up there, make a surprising win? Can we see potentially, Dalton Wicker slide up there? Maybe Chase Abel in that beautiful Noble American number 7 ride. Can he win here this evening? What about the 95 ride of Anthony Ludy? Been a pretty quiet night here for Ludy. Can he make something happen here late in this race? As here we go, back to Green Flag Racing. Another great launch down through the Geico restart zone for that number 8 machine as Gage Wenzel pushing that 48 ride of J.J. Moore. J.J. gonna jump down to the inside here. He's looking for a big run, trying to close the gap here on our race leader down the back straightaways. They shoot down here into corner number 3. As you take a look, Al Likens working to the outside now of Adam Belton. Belton trying to hold himself here in that 5th position, but Kent Mueller out in front. looking to try to hold them all back there at bay, but he's going to have his hands full. Quite a few laps on this 8 ride compared to the cars back there behind him. They do not really have, you know, that much older tires than the 8 machine, but even though it's, you know, 6, 7, 8 laps fresher tires, it can make a world of difference here late in this race. And for Kent Mueller, now down to the inside, but I look back there, maybe a little contact for a couple of these drivers, and yes, there it is. Contact, around goes Dylan Picklesheimer. Looks like the 20 rider Jeremiah Nelson tore up there with them. Another caution flag on the racing surface as these two going to get timed together. Teammates out there on the racetrack. Not sure what happens here, but all of a sudden they just get bound together and tied together here late in this race. So the 45 ride, fresher tires, just came down pit road, looking for a big run here. Let's take a look and see what happens. So he looks to get to the outside of Jeremiah Nelson. Jeremiah, not quite. No, this looks like the 45 ride drives into that right rear quarter panel of this 20 machine. As he does that, brings this caution flag out. So he looks to the outside. He's got room there. Just stays with the 20 ride. That's a bit of a weird one. Unfortunately, it hooks Jeremiah up and into the outside fence. Jeremiah's going to come back down the racetrack and into the 45 ride. They stay tied together, and unfortunately, both drivers going to bounce off the inside fence into the outside fence. Big hit there for Jeremiah. Big hit for the 45 ride of Dylan Picklesheimer. Picklesheimer going to heavy contact to the inside fence. Just barely getting through there was that Noble American ride. Chase Abel, man, Abel's going to have a crazy look at this one. Let's see if we can play this back and see what he can see here as, see what his perspective is through the helmet cam of Chase Abel in the NobleAmerican.com ride. Here we go, down in through the back straightaway. These two going to get tied together right there. There's contact. There they are down to the infield, and all of a sudden they both come back up the racetrack. One just barely misses taking them out. The other one, he's able to just avoid. That is a very, very close call there for the 7 ride, man. That is absolutely insane how close this was to potentially his night coming to an end. As here comes the 45 up the racetrack. Oh, just inches away from running into that left rear quarter panel, and then just able to get down low and not see that 20 ride bounce down in front of him. That was a very, very close call. Let's see if we can watch inside this 45 ride of Dylan Picklesheimer as not too sure what was going on here. Down the back straightaway, trying to complete this pass on his teammate, but take a look. So he gets to the outside and he's kind of turning left, but it's like the car just hooked. I don't know if it's just offset on steering. I'm not sure what his steering offset may be. Here you're virtually going straight. The wheel is pointed straight. So I'm not sure if there's contact here. What ended up happening, but nonetheless, he's trying to turn to the right. It's just like he stays glued to the back end of the 20 ride, and it just kind of like hooks him into the 20 machine, and that's all she wrote right there, man. Big, big hits there late in this race, and a lot of tore-up race cars here at the end of this feature event as we'll get everyone else stacked back up, racked back up, and ready to try to go back to green flag racing. Now we do see Kent Mueller still out in front. Another big restart for him. He'll have to try to hold these guys off, try to keep them back there at bay. We do see Picklesheimer rolling back in on the racetrack. That car is very, very hurt, man. That thing is absolutely tore up here this evening, but just trying to keep himself in the battle. If there's more carnage, if there's more issues, maybe you can bounce back into it. But as of right now, I don't know if this car's going to be able to finish this race. Look at this car. It's crab walking. All 4 corners are just absolutely busted apart. And unfortunately, for the 45 ride, it's going to be tough to finish this race and try to keep this car pointing in the right direction here and potentially not bring out more caution flags late in this run. But we'll see how he's able to accomplish that as the 8 rider Kent Mueller looking to accomplish a big win here this evening, hoping to try to keep J.J. Moore, Al Likens, Gage Wenzel, Adam Belton all back there at bay. You do see Dalton Wicker still there in 6th. The 7 ride of Chase Abel, Darrell Johnson, Anthony Ludi, Picklesheimer there rounding out our top 10. We do see the 17 ride of Corey Dank able to rejoin this race, get back into the battle here this evening. So we'll have to wait and see what Corey can do here late in this run as here we go. It's Kent Mueller getting ready for another big restart, open for a big launch, and he gets it once again. Great restart there for him. J.J. Moore trying to clear that 9 right of Al Likens. Likens doing a great job, though. Will stay down to the inside. He'll stay underneath that 48 right, and that's exactly what Al Likens needed to potentially give himself what could be the winning scenario here late in this race. Is Kent Mueller sliding around. Here comes a bunch of other cars there, 2, 3 wide, heading down into corner number 3. Likens has to go up to the high side as J.J. Moore down on the inside. The 36 is going to work his way up and into third, but here comes that 77 of Dalton Wicker. Wicker needs to have a big run here this evening to try to give himself a little bit of a buffer here, trying to gain a few points back on that 9 right of Al Likens, try to close that points lead here this evening for the 36 right of Gage Wenzel. He desperately needs those points as well, as here they come, storming down the back straightaway. Here comes J.J. Moore down to the inside. He's looking to make the move to try and take the race lead away from Kent Mueller, and he will make the pass. So J.J. Moore now to the point here this evening. J.J. out in front, but Mueller says, I'm not done yet. I'm going to keep on battling. I'm going to give it everything I've got to try to put myself up here and into victory lane. As Gage Wenzel trying to hunt them down. Here comes Dalton Wicker. Big move right there down the back straightaway. Big head of steam for this 9 right of Al Likens. Likens will shoot it deep down low into corner number 3, hoping to try to make this thing stick, hoping that it keeps on rolling, and it does a great job at it. As here comes Daryl Johnson into the battle here towards the front as well. Adam Belton right there in 7th. Anthony Ludi back in 8th as Chase Abel and Dylan Picklesheimer here rounding out our top 10. Picklesheimer obviously struggling here, falling farther and farther back as we do see the caution flag fly. Caution flag will come out as we take a look. The Red Dog, Tiny Toes number 77 of Dalton Wicker, tore up here late in this race. Let's take a look and see what happens, as it looks like potentially the 4 ride just going to get in here and get a piece of them. So Daryl Johnson going to get in here, and he's just going to make contact there with Dalton Wicker. Unfortunately, that just gets Wicker turned around and up and into the outside fence. So the slightly dangerous racing crew definitely being slightly dangerous out there on the racetrack here this evening. See if we can get another look at it, see what was happening here with the 77. Is obviously right there on his left rear, already getting him pretty bent out of shape here on corner entry right there. Gets him already up the track and a little loose, and then just netcode the rest of the way. So looked like netcode was already being a factor after the initial contact, but as you take a look, closes the gap, gets into that left rear, and that's what kind of just gets everything started right there. And then netcode kind of takes care of the rest. That gets him up the track, turned around, hard contact into the outside fence. And unfortunately for Dalton Wicker, late race contact and damage here are going to make things that much tougher for him here this evening, as he'll head down pit side, try to get this car fixed up, try to get it back out onto the racetrack, hoping to not go a lap down or lose too many positions, as he was trying to earn some points back here, trying to get an advantage here, trying to build a bit of a gap on the 9 right of Al Likens, trying to close that gap up, trying to make sure that he can try to earn a few extra points here and trying to close that points lead for the championship late in the season. Now we do see Kent Mueller, who finally lost that race lead, heads down pit road here. So for Kent Mueller, he comes down pit side. Looks like he is going to make potentially his final pit stop on the day, in which case he does have fresh tires back there behind pit wall. So for the DHL Express ride, you'll now have the most tires out there on the racetrack, and this car could be flying here late in this race. And for one of our playoff competitors, this could be a big, big break here for him. For Kent Mueller, could be a ton of points on the board for him to jump up here and grab, but he's going to have a very short time to try to work his way through some traffic as he gets ready to roll back here and join the rest of the field. He'll restart in the 8th position, so he'll have to look to the outside lane and just hope that he can carry a ton of speed, get some big, big runs, and try to put himself into potentially a winning scenario here later in this race, as J.J. Moore has the race lead. Gage Wenzel there in 2nd, Al Likens back in 3rd, Daryl Johnson there in 4th, Adam Belton in 5th with Anthony Ludi, Chase Abel, and Kent Mueller rounding out the top 8 here late in this race. The only 8 drivers still rolling out there on the racetrack is Picklesheimer, Dalton Wicker, Corey Denk, all down pit road. Jeremiah Nelson, he is down and out of this race in with Max Cost in the 63 ride. Drew King, James Hudson, Chris Zofeld also down and out of this race, as we do see Dylan Picklesheimer still down pit road here. Not sure who was that, though. Okay, there we go. We see Dylan Picklesheimer rolling back out there now, so he's going to keep on rolling. It was Corey Dank who was able to get back out onto the racetrack as well here, so he'll get his 17 ride lined up and ready to roll here, even though he's multiple laps down, stuck back in about the 13th position. As here we go, another late race restart as we go back to green flag racing. This will be a 4-lap shootout. 4 laps to try to get it done here in this one. 4 laps to duke it out. 4 laps to try to put yourself into a winning situation here this evening. For Al Likens, he wants to find victory lane and extend his points lead here in the championship. For Gage Wenzel, he wants to gain a lot of points here over that 9 ride. For the 77 of Dalton Wicker, unfortunately down pit road, now multiple laps down. Looks like it may be a 10th place finish for the 77 ride here this evening. But for drivers like Anthony Ludi, Adam Boughton, Chase Abel, Kent Mueller, there's still a lot of points on the table that they can gain to try to get themselves back into the battle, back into the hunt here this evening for this championship. Is J.J. Moore. He elects to use the outside lane. That puts the 9 ride on the back bumper here of Gage Wenzel late in this race for the restart. So we'll have to wait and see what these guys are able to do. Who's going to be able to make some moves? Who's going to be able to try to put themselves into the winning scenario here? Is nice and easy down and in to the Geico restart zone. Here we go. Back to battle. Great launch right there for the 48. Solid restart for that 36 ride of Gage Wenzel. Wenzel quickly has that 9 ride of Al Likens to his back bumper. Now Al going to drive right down to the inside here of that 36 ride. Hope to see it stick and try to work his way up and into position number 2 as Gage Wenzel will look to try to keep that 9 ride back there at bay. Here comes Ludi. Here comes Boughton. They're trying to race their way up towards the front. Here is Gage Wenzel just able to clear out Likens and keep himself in position number 2. As the 4 rider Daryl Johnson gets up, scrapes that outside fence ever so slightly. It's J.J. Moore, though, with the race lead, trying to put this Raptor 48 ride up and into victory lane here this evening. As here comes that hindsight groove. Al Likens looking for a big run down the back straightaway, hoping to find and carry a ton of speed down here into corner number 3 as he'll drive it deep down low underneath the 36 ride. I don't think Gage Wenzel realized that he was going to be there and have that big of a run, but all of a sudden Al Likens opens up that door once again down to the inside of this 36 ride. Only 2 laps left to go here in this race. 2 laps left to duke it out here in this one, and now there's going to be a little bit of contact as Likens leading on the 36. Gage Wenzel is not going to pull off of him. They are going to stay tied together down the back straightaway. This will allow that 48 of J.J. Moore to pull farther and farther out in front as the 9 of Likens hoping to clear this 36. Oh, baby, things are getting tight as the white flag has been displayed one more time around here for J.J. Moore as he's out in front. He is feeling fine. He is feeling divine as he's hoping to try to keep all these drivers back there at bay, and as they continue to duke it out here for second, that is really the battle as J.J. Moore on cruise control into victory lane here this evening. Just cannot make a mistake. But for Al Likens and Gage Wenzel, they are still duking it out here for position number 2. It's going to be a drag race back down to the line, and it looks like Wenzel will steal second away from Al Likens. As Likens will come home in 3rd, Gage Wenzel will come home in 2nd, but it's all J.J. Moore as he picks up the checkered flag here this evening. One of our non-playoff drivers in the field this evening, able to find victory lane and put this Raptor Ally ride up and into the top spot here. No bigger win than the one tonight for this 48 ride, man. He's been having a great run, great drives each and every time he's out there on the racetrack. And here this evening, no bigger win for that 48 than here tonight. We'll have to wait and see if we can get him up here into the booth as we'll try to get our top 3 up here for their post-race interviews here this evening. As, man, that is a great run, great drive there for that number 48 here this evening, man. That's a big run, big drive there for him as he's able to find victory lane. Doesn't even look like he's going to do a burnout. Looks like he's just going to save this pony for another day here. He's just going to keep that car looking pretty out there on the speedway, not even going to get on the loud pedal as we'll get ready to try to pull JJ and the rest of these guys up and into the booth for their post-race interview. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for JJ Moore. Here we go. He is going to burn it down here. He is going to get ready to celebrate. Looked like he was going to fake us out for that one. As here we go. It's Sean O'Keefe says, wowzers, what a race. Says, awesome job driving the 36 clean race for the 36. Yeah, very, very clean race. Good race for him here this evening as we'll get ready to pull JJ up here into the booth. Hey, JJ, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
Yes, sir.
JJ, man, what a run, what a drive, man. Take us through this one. Obviously, a lot of strategy, and then late in this race, we see some caution flags. We see a little bit of contact and chaos back there behind you, and you're having to try to figure out a way to get around Ken Mueller. You finally make that pass on him. Another caution flag, then got to worry about this restart. You got to hope that you can keep Gage Wenzel, Al Lankins, and the rest of these guys back there at bay. You're able to get the launch you were looking for, and I don't know if you were looking in that rear view mirror or not, but they were duking it out. They were hashing it out back and forth back behind you for that second position, and it just allowed you to continue to pull farther and farther away, where you virtually had a second lead. You're on cruise control there for really the last lap and a half, just pulling away and winning tonight's feature event, man. Take us through it. What's going through your mind right now as you get to celebrate here on the front straightaway?
Man, I can't really describe what's going through my head. I kind of like once those cautions came out, it was kind of just like one after another. I just got to kind of do the same thing. And once I got by Ken, that was my main mission. And once that last caution came out and I saw I got that good launch and cleared off into one, I was just set sail and just had to go for it, fastest lap after fastest lap. But I'm really excited for it. I'm glad we finally won one of these things. But I can't really tell you what's going through my brain. It's just a lot right now.
Honestly, a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions there after a big, big win. I do believe this is your first win ever here at the Hypershift Racing League, and here tonight, no bigger place to do it than Texas Motor Speedway, man. What does that mean to be able to come in here, obviously late in the season, in the playoffs, keep all these playoff performers behind you, and find yourself as a first-time winner here in the series at Texas?
And honestly, it really didn't affect me much this season. It really just kind of gives me even more confidence for next season because I know I've shown the pace this year to hold with these guys, playoff or not, and I show back up, and now we're in the playoffs where all these guys are fighting even harder, practicing even harder, and obviously they got their rivalries and stuff, but I'm able to show up and just kind of whoop some tail, show them all up a little bit. So it kind of just gives me a confidence booster for next season and for the following races where I can hold my own even though I'm not in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you that huge momentum boost and really just proved here tonight that come next year, come next season, that if you're here on a weekly basis and running for that championship, that you're going to be a threat each and every single one of these nights.
Yes, sir.
Well, JJ, man, heck of a run, heck of a drive for you as you park that Raptor 48 right up here into the Texas Motor Speedway victory lane here in the BuyNobleAmerican.com 200 here this evening, man. Who would you like to thank for such a great run and strong performance out there on the racetrack?
First, people, I want to thank the teammates at CAMK, Chase Abel, Max Cost. It wasn't the best runs for them, but it was still good runs. We had great team speed. So can't thank them enough for all they do, allow me to race on their team. I don't think Gage, I worked with him a little bit, Gage Wetzel, during those last couple of restarts, trying to fire off as good as I can, get us both in good positions. Thank all my sponsors that help me allow what we can do. iRacing, thank you for broadcasting. Thank all the admins of the league, just everybody that can make this possible.
Absolutely, brother. Well, JJ, congratulations on a big win here this evening, man. We can't wait to see you back in action next Thursday for a penultimate race of the season, and hopefully we see this 48 ride back up here in Victory Lane to build up even more momentum going into next season.
Oh, yeah. You'll definitely see me back up at the front next week.
We look forward to it, brother. Enjoy the win, and don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane.
Man, we won't party too hard. We may get you down here in a little bit.
There we go. There we go. All right, man. Have yourself a great night.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for J.J. Moore as J.J. picks up the win here this evening, parking the 48 ride up and into victory lane as we'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher, the 36. It's Gage Wenzel. Wenzel comes home in second. Let's get him up here into the booth. Hey, Gage, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Gage, man, solid run, solid performance here this evening. Obviously, a pretty fast hot rod. Obviously, a lot of strategy, a lot of different game plan coming into this race. And here we are, late in this one, duking it out with that 9 ride. Our points leader in the championship battle, Al Likens, right down to the line. You're able to steal that second spot away from at least gain a point or two there on the 9 ride here late in this race. But kind of take us back through this one, man. Obviously, fast car, we kind of saw you hang out there, finding some speed later in these runs. And I do believe it was the second run before that second green flag pit stop. You saw some big blocks coming through on that 45 ride of Dylan Pinkelsheimer. Quite a bit of contact, quite a bit of hard racing there. You know, kind of take us back through that and through some of this race and, you know, how proud you are to come home still with a solid second place run as you were very close to having an early exit to this race out there with that tight racing.
Yeah, I mean, we did a great job on the restarts. I could have done a little better here and there, right? But, I mean, you know, it is what it is. We got a good run. But, yeah, with Dylan, I mean, he just tried wrecking me. You don't do that like 3 times, you know, on accident. You know, the same team wrecked me at Kansas, so it's whatever. I still beat them, so it's okay. Raced them clean as could be, but yeah, we were good. But anytime we actually were better in the long run, I just get raced horribly. And then we cycled because I had to pit early after getting almost wrecked there, and it cycled decent, but I didn't have the tire. Had a big moment coming off pit road, and it hurt a few laps after, and it kind of just hurt the right rear, and then I don't know. Dirty air was so bad. Since the update, dirty air is horrible, but I don't know. It just needed a little bit more. You know, I'm not like bummed, right? But I mean, it's gonna be pretty hard to make up probably 10 points or whatever he's gonna have on me. So we'll just see. Though we had a good race, though.
Yeah, absolutely going to be tough. Obviously, only 2 races left on the season, and obviously now with Dalton Wicker having a tough run out there, he got turned around by the 4 ride of Daryl Johnson, and he ended up into the fence, having to come home in that 10th position, and leapfrogs you into second. And you know you got 2 races left, and you got only a couple more opportunities to try to gain those many points back. What are you going to do? What's the game plan going into the next couple of races to try to win this championship?
Nothing. We're just gonna do what we do all the time. We're just gonna go out there and race hard and not do what that team does, and we're gonna be better than them, and we're just gonna beat them. So, you know, Daryl got dumped, Dalton got dumped, and I almost got dumped, and we're just gonna go dominate Phoenix. That's the game plan, and do it as clean as possible.
Absolutely, brother. Well, we look forward to seeing that. We look forward to seeing you guys back in action as Gage. Heck of a run, heck of a drive here this evening, man. Who's like to thank for another great drive out there on the racetrack?
You know, I got to thank my family, my mom, my dad, everyone, my beautiful girlfriend. Shout out to Jaden Newsom's mom, right? She needed a shout out. I saw them in real life. That was kind of cool because, you know, they live in Canada. All the sponsors on the hood, Tom's Tasty Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches. This thing was a rocket ship tonight. 213 Simware and every partner on the car. Wish we could have got one spot better, and to the Lord above for keeping me here another day and for you up here in the booth.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Gage, great run, great drive, man. We look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack for our penultimate race next Thursday.
Yep, I'll see you there in Victory Lane.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Gage Wenzel as Wenzel comes home in position number 2. Solid run, solid drive there for that 36 machine as we'll get ready now to pull in our 3rd place finisher, the number 9 ride of Al Likens. Hey, Al, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
I do.
Al, man, solid run here this evening. Obviously coming into this race as the points leader. You're just trying to maximize your day, trying to keep these guys back there behind you, and obviously some chaos out there late in the race, but we saw a lot of tight battling there, you know, throughout this one. Obviously some different pit cycles, a lot of different pit strategies, trying to, you know, get this thing to play out into your favor, and it looked like you're trying to play that long game there, you know, through that final run. We saw you come down probably what, 4 or 5 laps after we saw Gage Wenzel, J.J. Moore, and some of these other drivers. So you're really trying to get that final late run drive where you could jump up there and try to make some moves late in the race to potentially take the win away. Obviously, that didn't play out with the caution flag coming out around lap 110. You got to come back down pit side, and then you just got to try to gain some positions there. It's a lot of tight racing. We saw, obviously, Boughton there, Johnson, Wenzel, obviously late in this race. You guys were duking out. You throw in Kent Mueller there for a while, and Dalton Wicker, man. You guys were duking it out here late in this one. You're able to come home in that 3rd position, but you almost stole that 2nd spot away from Gage Wenzel and almost gained some extra points here on all these drivers for your points lead here in the championship, man. Take us back through this race and what's kind of going through your mind right now after the smoke settles here in Texas.
Tough race from my point. This track I struggle at, so I'm happy with 3rd. Like they got 2nd, but it is a good battle the last 2 laps. But yeah, they're on that last stop. Green flag. I try to run long, and I'd rather have offenses playing defense. But the cautions fell the way they did. Kind of took the strategy as just survival at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Survival is key there at the end, especially with some of those late race caution flags. And for yourself, we saw you running, a fairly online compared to everyone else. Seemed like everyone really wanted that bottom to that 2nd lane up off the racing surface there. You were right up against that outside fence, man, running up there like Kyle Larson, getting these big runs down the straightaways. Take us through that strategy. Obviously, it was working well for you here tonight. Do you think that the car just handled better up there, or what was the cost for running up that high?
I tried to run the bottom. I just, longer into the run, I just could not make no speed. So I was like, I'm going to try something everybody else not put some clean air on the nose, man. It came alive on that top groove. I was surprised I was making it work, but I'd get some huge runs down the backstretch.
Yeah, definitely getting some big runs. We saw that 9 ride is shooting down below cars, obviously making big moves here throughout the later portion of this race, or even throughout the middle part when he finally kind of figured that outside lane out, and it was a lot of fun to watch, man. You guys were duking it out there hard here this evening, and you come home with a solid 3rd place run. You only really give up that 1 position, that 1 set of points there to Gage Wenzel, and you gain a lot more on the rest of your competition here this evening with only 2 races left to go here for that championship. How you feeling going into our next couple of races?
It's gonna be a battle because Gage is fast. The guys up there, really anything could happen the next 2 races. It's gonna be a good show to watch for sure.
Absolutely, man. We look forward to seeing it. But, man, a great run. Solid drive for you tonight as you park that 9 ride up here in 3rd. Who would you like to thank for such a great run and great drive out there on the racetrack?
I'd like to thank God and also my family for allowing me to do this. And I'd like to thank Darrell Johnson for everything he has done for me and all my teammates at Slightly Dangerous Racing. And I'd like to thank you all for the broadcast and all the league owners. It's a fun league to be a part of.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Al, hell of a run, hell of a drive here this evening, man. Congrats on the 3rd place run. And we look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack, as I do believe we head to Phoenix for the next race. So hopefully we'll see you right back up here in the broadcast booth looking to maybe extend your points lead.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our 3rd place driver. Al Likens. As Likens comes home in that 3rd position. Solid drive, solid run there for that number 9 machine. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, unfortunately, that will do it for us here this evening. The racing action has come to a close, unfortunately. Nothing else to go on here this afternoon. That will be it for us tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Hopefully we see you guys back in the grandstands cheering on our drivers tomorrow night as we'll be back in action. We'll be duking it out for an all-star race at South Boston Speedway tomorrow night, which will be a very fun, very exciting race tomorrow evening, and hopefully we'll see you guys all there. But thank y'all for watching in here tonight. All the likes, the comments, the shares, we appreciate each and every single one of you, and we'll see you guys back in here tomorrow night. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love.
Rubber burning engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's delight. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take.